The movie begins in a land ruled by power and constant conflict, as clans vie for dominance. We meet an elite warrior, an incredibly strong and intelligent man named Fang. We learn that he inherited his immense power from his father, who tragically died. The clan leader adopted Fang and trained him in the most brutal fighting techniques imaginable. We see him single-handedly attacking an entire clan that had set a trap for him, hiding in a pond. He approaches the pond and plunges his knife into the head of one of them. As a second warrior attacks, Fang skillfully cuts him in two with his sword. All the warriors emerge from the water, swords drawn, ready to defend their clan. But Fang confidently advances, sharpening his sword on the ground. In the blink of an eye, he begins to vanquish them in spectacular fashion. We then learn that he chose this particular clan because its leader had achieved great success. The greatest swordsman in the history of mankind was honored, and of course, Fang was there to finish him off and take the title from him. At that moment, the warrior and Fang raise their swords against each other, but surprisingly, the fight lasts no more than a second as Fang severs his head in a miraculous way. Afterwards, he finds a box containing a small child. The girl is the daughter of the clan leader, and although his mission was to eliminate the entire clan lineage, Fang's heart softens as soon as he sees her sweet smile. He decides to disobey orders and take her in to raise as his own. He understands very well that the leader of the Sad Flute clan to which he belongs will certainly not leave him alone after this act. Indeed, as he walks through the forest, he encounters clan warriors attacking him, but with incredible speed he draws his sword and slices through the reeds in front of him. As soon as they approach, he finishes them off, hurling their bodies onto the edges of the reeds. He then runs away, changes into his clan's clothes, and eats at an old woman's restaurant. Suddenly, he grabs a sharp stick and plunges it into her neck, killing her. This woman is one of his leader's henchmen and had hidden a knife she planned to use to kill the child. At that moment, Fang sets the entire restaurant on fire, throws his clothes into the flames, takes the little girl with him, and leaves. Strangely, before she dies, the old woman holds the clan's emblem in her hands. Fang realizes that the clan will banish him forever, so he decides to take the girl and travel to a distant land. There, he hides at the home of an elderly friend who works in a circus. As soon as he arrives in the town, he finds the circus reduced to a pile of rubble, and the people who once worked there are now living in dire poverty. He ignores the stares of the townspeople until he reaches the hotel door and opens it. He goes to look for his friend but is surprised to find that the hotel has also been destroyed. At that moment, he meets a dwarf who introduces himself and asks who he is looking for. Fang shows him a picture of his old friend but is shocked to discover that his friend left the town a long time ago. The dwarf then takes Fang and the child to the old man's house and decides to let them stay. Meanwhile, the clan leader goes to the restaurant where the woman was killed and finds her holding the clan's emblem. He is certain that Fang killed her, and at that moment, he remembers Fang's words from long ago, when he said that his heart was his greatest enemy. We then return to the town where Fang is playing with the child because she is crying. Just then, a woman named Lynn from the town enters, holding a stick and moving stealthily. Suddenly, she lunges forward but crashes. She is shocked when her stick hits Fang's shoulder, as he is completely unaffected by the blow. She apologizes and explains that she is often targeted by criminals who come to attack them without mercy. After that, she opens Fang's bag and takes out a bottle of medicine to treat the spot where she struck him. When she notices the girl crying, she goes to comfort her. While doing so, she realizes the child needs her diaper changed, and as she takes care of her, she begins to talk with Fang. She asks about his relationship with the old man. Fang explains that the man was his friend long ago, and that he came here to hide and protect the child. Lynn assumes Fang is the girl's father, but he surprises her by revealing that her entire family was killed. Lynn is deeply affected by his words and tells him that from now on, they will be the girl's family. They will raise her together until she grows up among them. Lynn also believes Fang should work with them. Since the old man was known for laundry work, she assumes Fang has the same skills, but he admits he does not. So she decides to teach him, and together they reopen the old man's shop as partners. The next day, Fang opens the shop and waits for customers. Soon, 3 young men come in with clothes, but they begin to mock him, just as they once mocked his friend. If they knew his true nature, they would not dare act that way. Despite this, Fang remains completely calm until the dwarf arrives and teaches the 3 men a lesson in his own way. Afterwards, he takes Fang around the town. Fang notices a drunk man sitting and drinking, completely unconcerned with the people around him. He also sees Lynn throwing knives at a wooden board, but she lacks focus, which affects her accuracy. Later, Fang sits with the others and watches their demonstrations. He feels happy seeing the little girl laughing. However, Lynn soon arrives looking upset, leaves them, and sits alone. A drunk man then drinks gasoline from a fire breather and quickly loses consciousness. That night, as Fang returns home, he hears music coming from Lynn's house. He quietly approaches the door to listen without her noticing. Just then, the little girl knocks over a bucket, and Lynn hears the noise. She opens the door and finds Fang standing there. She invites him in to listen to the music and begins to open up. She tells him that when her father left the country, he bought the gramophone, the only thing she has left after her family died. Fang is moved by the hardships of the townspeople and realizes that he is not the only one who has suffered injustice. From that moment on, he decides to share their lives. Lynn becomes the first person to help him adjust, teaching him how to do laundry. Over time, Fang integrates into the community, joining their games and helping them carry water, slowly becoming one of them. One time, he was sitting at home cleaning himself when Lynn suddenly entered. He was embarrassed and quickly covered himself with a towel. She told him she had been waiting for him because they had work to do, then went outside. As for Fang, we learned that he had covered his body so Lynn wouldn't see the wounds that covered him. Afterwards, Fang went with her to water the plants and flowers. When he finished, he played cards with the dwarf, but suddenly he spotted Lynn entering the cemetery and changing the flowers near her family's graves. Curiosity got the better of him, and he asked the dwarf about the reason for Lynn's family's death. The dwarf then began the story. They learned that when Lynn was little, a corrupt general occupied the town and chose Lynn as his victim. His men tied her up and took her to him against her will. When her father tried to save her, they tied him up, forced his face into the dirt, and trampled him. But Lynn, taking advantage of the general's distraction, glanced beside her and saw a pan of boiling oil. She quickly grabbed it and threw it at his face, burning him. She ran out of the room, but the general chased after her, pulled out his gun, and shot her in the shoulder, all while her parents watched in shock. When her father fought the soldiers and ran to save her, the general shot him in the heart, killing him. He then coldly murdered her mother and infant sister. Lynn wept tears of blood. From that moment on, she resolved to learn how to throw knives and take revenge on him, no matter the cost. After Fang learned her tragic story, he decided to teach her himself. One day, she became upset because she couldn't aim a stone at a small stick, believing the problem was her arm strength. Fang told her that her real problem was concentration. He immediately blindfolded her, gave her knives, and stood on the target himself, telling her to do nothing except maintain her focus. She managed to do so, hitting her targets with perfect accuracy without harming him. But suddenly, she could no longer hear his voice, and she became terrified that she might have killed him. She quickly removed the blindfold to check on him, only to find that he was gone. She ran after him, overjoyed, especially when she realized she could now hit targets with great precision. She kept running ahead of him, happy like a little child. But Fang told her she was still a beginner and needed to practice her concentration more. As he walked ahead of her, she suddenly threw a rock at his head. He simply mocked her, saying he wasn't a difficult target. Lynn then decided to test his abilities, focusing all her effort on hitting the child resting on his arm with the stone. But just before it could strike, Fang caught it at the last moment. That night, he sat and talked with her, opening his heart as well. He confessed that his title was now the Sad Nile. She thought he had once been a musician, but he surprised her by revealing that he was a master plucker. His clan had been given this name because they considered the sound of severing their enemies' necks to be music. He also told her that he had been with them since the beginning because his father was one of them. One day, however, his father died before his eyes. Fang was shocked to learn that the man who killed him had only been testing the strength of his sword. Lynn was deeply affected by this story and gave him the necklace her mother had given her before she died, telling him that as long as he wore it, no harm would come to him. At that moment, he remembered craving when he was young and a leader. The clan had brought him a dog as a gift to help him forget his father's death. Afterwards, he took Lynn to his room and showed her the knives he had been hiding since arriving in town. He explained that he used them for protection, not for killing. Lynn was impressed and began practicing with them until she suddenly noticed his sword. She asked to see it, but when she tried to open it, she discovered it was welded shut. Surprised, she asked why. He confessed that if he opened it, the clan would hear the voices of the spirits he had killed, discover his location, and come for him immediately. Meanwhile, the clan leader and his men attacked the ship Fang had been traveling on, killing everyone on board in a horrific manner, so much so that the victim's blood flowed into the sea. At the same time, Fang continued to train Lynn in knife fighting. The first thing he taught her was to be quick in her attacks. To improve her speed, he threw small stones at her so she could learn to dodge them quickly. Days passed, and Fang grew closer to the townspeople, spending his time with them and playing with the little girl. During this time, we begin to notice the admiring glances in Lynn's eyes whenever she looks at him. Then New Year's Day arrived, and they decided to celebrate together. Everyone danced and rejoiced, But Fang and Lynn chose to celebrate in their own way. They left the others and continued practicing knife fighting. By this point, Lynn had improved significantly and managed to place a blade against his neck, believing she had won. But then came the second lesson: understanding the moment of victory when an enemy's heart stops. At that moment, Lynn looked into his eyes and almost confessed her love for him, but she suddenly felt embarrassed. She left him and returned to her friends. Meanwhile, the general and his men attacked the town, destroying it. The general mocked the townspeople, even placing a clown as a target, balancing a water jug on his head while his men aimed at it. With each shot, the clown trembled in fear as they laughed. Then the general placed a small glass of alcohol on the clown's head, intending to shoot it himself. Suddenly, the drunkard appeared, took the glass, and drank it. Enraged, the general grabbed a whip, wrapped it around the clown's neck, and handed it to one of his men, who dragged him mercilessly across the ground as a warning to the entire town. At this moment, Lynn arrived and hid, waiting for the chance to strike the general. But before she could act, the dwarf and his companions captured her and quickly tied her up. They locked her in a room to protect her from the general. Meanwhile, Lynn begged Fang to untie her, but he knew the dwarf was right. He took her knives and left her locked inside. Surprisingly, Lynn has a knife and manages to free herself. Later, we see the general choose a woman to spend the day with, a woman with clean teeth. Her husband tries to stop him, and the general feigns mercy, but suddenly kills them both. Their daughters emerge from hiding, overcome with grief. Unfortunately, the general is immediately captivated by them. His men take them, clean them up, and bring them to him. This is where Lynn's opportunity arises. She approaches the general's men in a provocative dress, telling them she is ready to spend the evening with him. The general is stunned by her beauty and orders his men to leave the room. At the same moment, the dwarf discovers that Lynn has escaped from her room, and Fang immediately understands that she is with the general to take revenge on him. While with Lynn, she tries to delay the general by asking him to take a shower, then pulls out a knife to attack him. As for Fang, overcome with fear for her, he makes the hardest decision of his life, to break the weld on his sword. At that moment, the clan leader locates him and rushes toward him at full speed. We then return to Lynn, holding the knife as she approaches the bathroom to attack the general, but she is shocked to find him sitting there, holding his gun. He tells her that he recognized her as soon as she entered his room and suddenly fires a shot into the ceiling. His men rush in, and before Lynn can attack him, they strangle her with a whip and tie her up. The general then boasts of his strength and uses the knife to cut her dress, finding the mark of his bullet on her. He grabs her shoulder and decides to assault her before taking revenge for what she did to him long ago. But before he can touch her, Fang attacks like a monster, beheading the general's men. The general takes advantage of the distraction, grabs Lynn, and throws her out of the window before escaping on horseback with his aide. At that moment, Lynn runs after him, gathering all her focus, and throws a knife, aiming for his neck just as Fang taught her. Unfortunately, she is shocked to discover that the general has switched clothes with his aide and escaped in his place. We then see Fang gathering his belongings to leave before the clan leader arrives and finishes them all off, as he does not want to be the cause of their suffering after everything they have done for him. But as soon as he steps outside, he finds Lynn and all the villagers waiting for him. They ask him to stay and promise to fight the general together to the death. He is moved by their words and decides to remain with them. Fang knows the true danger, and Lynn understands it as well. That is why, when all the villagers gather, Lynn and Fang speak privately. Lynn apologizes for getting him into trouble, but he tells her that he had intended to stay on the run for the rest of his life. Now that his enemies know where he is, they will come to kill him, and everyone else as well. She tells him that she loves him and is ready to run away with him, but only after she takes revenge on the general. Meanwhile, the villagers dig into the ground and unearth a coffin filled with sniper rifles, pistols, and a large number of dynamite sticks. We also discover that the drunken man, who seemed careless about life, was once a dangerous criminal and a top-notch sniper before his life fell apart. As soon as he sees the sniper rifle, memories of the past return to him. To test his accuracy, they place a bottle as a target, and the dwarf makes the challenge even more difficult by surrounding it with bottles of alcohol. The drunk man surprises everyone by hitting the target with incredible precision. Afterwards, he goes to Fang and tells him they need to find a safe place from which to shoot their enemies. They advise Fang to choose the highest point in the area. Then, the drunk man shares his story. He reveals that he was once a feared gangster, but he fell in love with a woman. Her only condition for marrying him was that he give up his sniper rifle and live a peaceful life. He agreed, but his own men, trying to bring him back, killed her, the most precious person in his life. From that day on, he kept his promise and never touched his weapon again. After finishing his story, he advises Fang to confess his love, as it is the only thing that will allow him to truly live. Fang takes the advice and goes to confess his feelings to Lynn, but in his own way. He gives her his knives to fight with and points out 3 vital areas on the body that will help her defeat her enemies. At that moment, Lynn sees fear in his eyes for the first time, but she promises to remember everything he has taught her. The next day, they all prepare to face the general and his terrifying army. Each of them takes their position, and Fang stands alone at the front, sword in hand. When the general orders his soldiers to attack, a massive explosion erupts, wiping out many of his men. Then the drunken sniper begins targeting the planted explosives, detonating them with perfect accuracy. Within seconds, as dust fills the battlefield, Fang charges in and begins cutting down his enemies. The general and the rest of his army advance, but they find no one. Suddenly the traps begin to activate on their own, and the sniper continues his assault. Dynamite is thrown and detonated with precision. As they try to locate him, he eliminates them one by one. Soon his allies emerge from hiding and join the attack, overwhelming the enemy forces. Suddenly, Fang appears from behind them, and within moments, he mercilessly beheads his opponents. Despite this, one of the general's men manages to reach the sniper and his companion. They narrowly escape by hanging from a wire and slipping away. Before leaving, they ignite the dynamite they had planted throughout the area, triggering a massive explosion that destroys everything around them. As the smoke clears, the villagers emerge from hiding and celebrate their apparent victory. But the general is still alive. He suddenly attacks and kills one of them, sending everyone into panic as they flee from him and his remaining men. Just then, the clan leader and his warriors arrive, surrounding the entire area. The general mocks him and even kills the crow on the leader's shoulder. Enraged, the leader orders his men to attack. A fierce battle breaks out. Warriors rush toward Lynn as she carries the child, but at the last moment, Fang appears and defeats them. He tells Lynn to escape with the child while he stays behind, fighting with everything he has to protect her. When he sees enemies chasing them, he charges forward with brutal force, killing them without mercy. Afterward, he heads to Lynn's room, where she and the dwarf are hiding. Suddenly, a warrior attacks, but Fang reacts instantly, driving his sword straight into the man's heart. Meanwhile, the general's men, armed with a machine gun, begin slaughtering the clan warriors, but the tide quickly turns when one of the warriors cuts off the gunman's hand. The weapon falls into their hands, and soon it is used against the general's own men. Meanwhile, Fang finds 3 men approaching him and tries to fight them, but one of them manages to restrain him. His companion leaps forward with a sword in hand, ready to behead him. At the last moment, Lynn gives the child to the dwarf, pulls out a knife, and throws it to Fang. He catches it and kills the man holding him. As for the attacker, Lynn leaps into the air and lands on him, stabbing him in the heart and killing him. But seconds later, they hear gunfire and rush out to check on the child, only to discover that the general has killed the dwarf and taken the child. He and the remaining survivors retreat to the hotel. The general locks himself in his room and orders his men to secure it. Any warrior who even attempts to attack is immediately riddled with bullets. However, Fang uses his cunning and cuts off the power. Without warning, Fang appears before them and brutally kills the guards one by one. He then enters the room, and upon seeing him, the general is overcome with fear. In desperation, the general threatens to kill the child and pulls the trigger without hesitation. But Fang moves like a falcon, leaping forward and slicing the gun in two with his sword, saving the child. The general is certain his end has come at Fang's hands, but to his surprise, Fang allows him to face Lynn so she can avenge her family. Despite this, the general remains confident, believing himself far stronger than Lynn. He attacks her violently, smashing tables and chairs and slamming her to the ground. She struggles to fight back, but when she sees Fang watching her, she remembers everything he taught her. Regaining her focus, she grabs a knife and attacks the general with ferocity. She manages to cut through the mask covering the burn she inflicted on him long ago, seeing him vulnerable for the first time. Enraged, the general grabs her knife and throws it against the wall. But with sharp instincts, Lynn continues to outmaneuver him, drawing him into attacking recklessly. When he charges at her, she dodges, causing his sword to strike the wall. She then stands over him, retrieves her knife, circles around, and cuts off his leg. At first, the general does not feel the wound, but when he turns to attack again, he collapses face first onto the ground. Now helpless, he becomes easy prey for Lynn, who reminds him of her promise to kill him. In a final strike, she takes the sword and drives it into his heart. As they leave the room, they suddenly find the clan leader standing before them. Fang recalls how the leader once said his heart would be his greatest weakness, and he decides to reveal the truth to Lynn. He tells her that the leader was the one who murdered the child's family to prove his superiority. To settle their conflict, Fang and the leader are forced to fight to the death. Fang summons all his strength and attacks, but the leader easily deflects his blows. Fang remembers his training, how the leader constantly told him that although his body was that of a killer, his heart was weak, and that one day it would lead to the deaths of those closest to him. To harden him, the leader even forced Fang to kill his own dog. Now that harsh training bears fruit. Despite the lingering affection Fang has for the man who raised him after his father's death, he manages to overcome his hesitation. In the end, Fang defeats and kills the leader. Afterwards, Lynn is left in shock upon learning the truth about Fang. She is also surprised by what he has done. She considers going with him, but Fang asks her to stay, keep the child, and raise her, as he does not want her to suffer because of him. Before leaving, he plays with the baby one last time, cherishing her smile. He takes her baby bottle as a keepsake so he will always remember her, just as he keeps the necklace Lynn gave him. Legend says that from that day on, Fang never stopped wandering the earth, constantly fleeing from the warriors of his clan. One day, he sets a trap and kills a warrior pursuing him. But before he can leave his hiding place, many more warriors emerge from underground. Raising his sword, he charges at them like a monster. It seems he is destined to spend his life fighting, trapped in an endless cycle of bloodshed that will only end with his death, or the destruction of the entire clan. And that is how the movie ends. I hope you liked the summary. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching, so you can stay updated with the latest content. See you in the next movie.